Imperial measures. Now, this is the other unit system of measurement, and it was the one that was developed by Britain and used by the Empire and Commonwealth, and is still used a lot in the USA. Also, Britain's a unique country because we actually use both systems of measurement pretty regularly. Now, imperial lengths we use are inches, feet, yards, and miles. Now, the reason we went away from the imperial system of measurement because converting between these different units was not as easy as converting between the metric units. For example, there's 12 inches in a foot, 3 feet in a yard, and 1,760 yards in a mile. So to convert between them, it's a bit of a hassle, but you don't need to remember those. What you need to know is how to convert between the imperial measurements and the metric measurements. For example, 1 inch is approximately, a wavy equal sign means approximately, 2.5 or 2.5 centimeters. 1 foot is approximately 30 centimeters. Some people will probably say it's 30.5, but for the sake of approximation, we can just say it's 30 centimeters. Similarly, 1 yard is approximately 1 meter. Actually, a meter is quite a bit longer than a yard, but for an approximation, we take a yard as a meter. And finally, miles. Well, we don't really give 1 mile equals. What we say is that 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometers. So that was length. For weight, the imperial measurements were ounces and pounds. Also had stones, which we still use when we talk about our own weight, and there's also an imperial ton, just to confuse you. Now again, you don't need to know about the conversions between them. There were 16 ounces in a pound, 14 pounds in a stone, and so on. But what you do need to know is the metric equivalents again. Now, 1 ounce is approximately 30 grams. And 1 kilogram is approximately 2.2 pound. There's no need to worry about conversion between stones or tons. The ones that we're interested in are ounces and pounds. And finally, for capacity, we had pints, which are still used in the pub when we have a drink or a bottle of milk. Gallons, which talk about miles to the gallon. And that's it. And the way we convert to the metric equivalent is we say that 600 millilitres is approximately 1 pint. So the example type of questions you might get is how many miles are there in 32 kilometres? So the conversion is that 5 miles is approximately 8 kilometres. Now we've got 32 kilometres, so we want to know how many sets of 8 kilometres we can get into 32 kilometres. So how do we get from this to 32 kilometres? How many sets of 8 are there in 32? Well, hopefully you know your times tables. We know that there are 4. 4 eighths is 32. And for each of those 8 kilometres, we've got 5 miles. So we've actually got 4 lots of 5 miles in 32 kilometres, so we've got 20 miles. So 32 kilometres is approximately 20 miles. How many grams are there in 12 ounces? So the conversion was that 1 ounce is approximately 30 grams, and we want 12 ounces. To get from 1 to 12, we're going to have to times by 12. So we're going to have to do the same thing with the 30 grams. We've got 12 lots of 30 grams. And 12 times 30, well, I'd ignore the 0 for a second. 3 12s are 36. Add our 0 back on. So 12 ounces is approximately 360 grams. And one more, how many litres are there in 4 pints? Well, the conversion was that 1 pint is approximately 600 millilitres. So we want 4 pints. So to get from 1 to 4, we've multiplied by 4. And to get from, well, we'll have to do the same thing to the 600 and multiply that by 4. Again, no other zeros. 4 lots of 6 is 24. Put our zeros back in. So we have 2,400 millilitres. Now, just note the question said how many litres are in 4 pints. We've worked out there was 2,400 millilitres, so we need to convert that to litres. Remember, there's 1,000 millilitres in a litre, so it's 2.4 litres.